Hi guys, welcome to the video. Video today is inspired by an event that occurred last night for the first time for me on the Nexus board using the Nexus Pixel tips. Unfortunately, I snapped my tip. I snapped it quite cleanly, as you can see. First time this has happened in probably 6-7 months of using this board. I have snapped it in the bullseye as well. You probably can't see it very well, but it is there. I'll put a photo up in a second. Now, whilst I found it relatively simple to remove this, it wouldn't come out with tweezers, it had to be said, and I don't have a fancy punching tool or whatever they are, or tip removal tool. So it got me thinking, you know, how many times do I see this on the Nexus groups? People asking how to remove these points, and I couldn't see any sort of real YouTube videos out there that gave a bit of a step-by-step, so I thought I'd do one for you today, guys. So let's get this out of there so we can get playing again. Okay guys, so with the Nexus board taken off the wall nice and safely, first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to flip it onto its back. Okay, it's always important to be really careful with this, because there's a lot of things inside that can damage quite easily and are quite fragile. Next thing you're going to need to do is get a drill. Yep, it's a pink drill, so it's clear to see who does the DIY in our house. Nevertheless, it's great for unscrewing the back of the Nexus board nice and quickly. Okay, so with all the screws removed, we're just going to carefully remove the back, revealing the Nexus board inside. So what many of you may see is you may see something slightly different. You may see a big foam insert on the top. Now Nexus do recommend that you take this out because it does improve the scoring sensitivity without having to mess with the settings. Okay, so once you've taken that out, remove the foam if it's there. And if you ask me, I would keep it out of the board. Otherwise, you're going to have a thin layer of plastic, which is the actual sensor board. Now be ever so careful with this. Carefully move it back on itself so you don't damage any of the circuitry. Then you've got a rubberized insert, which also needs to be removed. Okay, again, nice and carefully. That needs to go to the side. And now we reveal the back of the Nexus board. So as you can see, these are all segments that are interlocking, a bit like a jigsaw puzzle, except they are actually removable. Okay, so now comes the point where we're going to have to remove the bullseye. You don't need to remove anything else, only the segment that has the piece of point in it. So in this case, just take something sharp. I've just got one of my darts. We're going to place it in there. And we're just going to gently pop the bullseye right out. And it does come out as easy as that. Okay, so once the bullseye's out, we can now work on that on its own. Okay guys, so now we have this bullseye removed. You can clearly see where the tip has gone in and shattered off. Now, I couldn't get any real purchase on that, but if you get to this stage and you feel that you can actually get more purchase on it to get it out with needle nose pliers or whatever it is that you have to hand, then by all means do so without going into the back of it. However, I'm going to show you what I feel I have to do to get this out. So as you turn it over, you will see that as it locks in, there is one little section there that allows you to get something in there. Again, I would take a dart, get it in there and just gently pop it off. Okay, so the cap has now been popped off. Pop that to one side, and now you can see clearly inside. Remove the centre ball. Okay, again, be very, very careful with it because you don't want to damage that. And if you look inside, you'll be able to clearly see, I'll use the dart to point it out, it's right at the top there. Okay, and I would recommend getting any sort of flat object just to literally just try and push that out. People say that sometimes you can push them from the outside back in. I wouldn't recommend that. I would recommend doing it this way. I know it's a lot more hassle, but it maintains the integrity of the Nexus. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a flat object, the end of an Allen key, the end of a large Allen key, and we're literally just going to push, push, push until you get enough purchase to push it all the way out. And there it is. Lifts out nice and clean without damaging anything. So we can discard that. We can take our bullseye. We can put the bullseye back in there, and it does fit in only one way, and it is quite secure when it fits in. You then take your key, the rest of your bullseye clips on nicely, and we're ready to replace this back into the Nexus board, reconstruct it, basically go the opposite way that you came, putting all the bits and bobs back in the right order, and hey presto, this works for any of the segments. Okay, and it's a nice, quick, easy, simple job. Okay, so once the offending item is out and you've changed your tip, obviously, your board's back up. It's always worth just checking to make sure that the ball works, or any part of the board that you've actually taken out and sort of dismantled, put back together again. So an easy way to do that is just select over one game, select any of them. Obviously, try and pick a player that isn't registered with the board. So in this case, it's just player 4. Because you don't want to mess your stats up, clearly. Go to single, and in our case it was the red ball. So if I press the red ball, yep, 1, 2, 3, works a treat. So once you're happy with that, you know your board's ready to go again. Once again, I would probably not recommend that you do this too often. If you can take it out the front way with tweezers, please do so, because obviously opening the board up can open up a can of worms if you accidentally hit something or knock something. So try and do it as little as possible. But in this case, I found that I had to do it because I didn't have a tool to take it out. Tweezers quite simply weren't working. So the only option really was to take it out of the back of the board. Hope this video has been useful, guys. Happy darts, and I'll see you on the board.